Hey, it's Brandon, and welcome to Retro Reactions, a place where I experience amazing music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s for the very first time. And today we're going to be traveling all the way back to 1993, 1994, 1995, 1999, and 2000 to listen to Mayonnaise, Porcelina of the Vast Oceans, and Stand Inside Your Love by the Smashing Pumpkins, and I Can't Be With You, Everything I Said, and Shattered by the Cranberries. And this one comes courtesy of my amazing supporter here and over on Patreon, Steve from New Jersey. So thank you so much, Steve, for all your support, your friendship, and for leading me to this deep dive into 90s rock. Okay, we'll start with the Smashing Pumpkins, and the song Mayonnaise comes from Siamese Dream, their second studio album, reaching number 10 in the US and number 4 in the UK. It was released as a single in 2023 for the album's 30th anniversary. It explores themes of alienation, melancholy, and the struggle for self-identity. Let's check it out. Great bent notes. Wow. Lovely ending there. This song, all about contrast between different types of guitars. I love that. I think the end there was kind of a bookend to the beginning, because in the beginning it was beautiful. I loved the soft, two different electric guitar tones that were happening. Felt like a conversation with those guitars. Great stuff. And then that super thick electric guitar comes blasting in for extreme contrast between those first guitars. Yes, I do know the several big hits from the Smashing Pumpkins, since they were always on the radio back in the 90s, but I've always shied away from the band because, a big part because of Billy Corgan's voice. When he goes harsh, it was too much for me, but here I really appreciated it. It was a nice, softer tone, very smooth. I loved hearing that side of him. I would even call it flowy and dreamy at times. You know, I love that. A bit whispery at times. I love that as well. So great to hear him in this pocket. Of course, a highlight of this song were those kind of 1 second surprise electric guitar notes. They would just come in. Very creative, very attention catching. I enjoyed that. Yeah, towards the second half, another great switch up to those beautiful acoustic guitars. Again, it's all about contrast. That's what I take from this song. But overall, a very enjoyable, solid song for me. I'll give it 4 golden records, an A- for Mayonnaise by the Smashing Pumpkins, 1993. All right, this next one sounds really interesting. The title is Porcelina of the Vast Oceans, and it comes from Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, their third studio album, a double album, which reached number 1 in the US and number 4 in the UK. It's a dreamy track about escaping the daily grind and finding a place of peace and tranquility, represented by the mysterious, beckoning woman on the shore. Let's go. And it's a long one. Wow, super slow fade in. I like what I'm hearing. Gorgeous. what is happening.
Shoreline
Quite a song. Wow, quite a journey. Similar to the first one. Big contrast here between those sections that I loved, the soft sections, and then those big, harsh, electric sections. I think more of the song was in the softer pocket, so I really enjoyed that journey. Yeah, the opening was one of my favorite parts of the song. That had to be the longest fade in I think I've ever heard. Very striking. But the whole, once the instrumentation started, it was super moody, super introspective, calm, gorgeous. They were taking me to that distant shore. A perfect slow build, elements coming in one by one, I'm sure. And then one of the most jarring 180s I've ever heard in music, when that huge guitar came in. Obviously, that's the huge contrast that I'm talking about. We got it again in the first song. I guess maybe that's what they're known for in a lot of their music. I don't know, but it was striking for sure. But then the payoff, each time we go back to that slow section, really interesting tones in that first, fall down, we'll call it, whatever processing they were using on the instruments, very striking. Of course, vocally, also huge contrasts. In this one, we do get his super scratch voice that I talked about, but I like that it went back and forth, to his softer side that I also talked about. I also love that every time we went back to the soft section, it seemed to have new musical elements, like the second fall down. Incredible. I love all those electronic sounds that were added, especially the doody 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 doody. Very cool. Extended throughout the end section. Overall, the slow section's very evocative. Again, they took me to that calm ocean shore that the lyrics are discussing. So I love that we got a lot of slow section and soft vocals in this one. And I also loved that we ended with the slow section for an extended period. Lots of great stuff happening musically. A great pocket to be in this song. Yeah, so I didn't connect with the harsh parts, but I connected big time with the softer parts, which I truly think was the majority of the song. So I'll give this one 5 super shiny golden records, an A+ for Porcelina of the Vast Oceans by the Smashing Pumpkins, 1995. All right, on to Stand Inside Your Love. It comes from Machina / The Machines of God, their 5th studio album, reaching number 3 in the US and number 7 in the UK. This was the 2nd single in the US and the lead single internationally. Billy Corgan wrote it for his then-girlfriend, Yelena Yemchuk. He called it the only true love song he's ever written. Let's check it out. Okay, that was an awesome ending. Okay, like that one. A very upbeat, definitely huge 90s sound here. It was transporting me instantly back to the 90s decade of music, of rock music for sure. This is definitely a single. Hearing it one time, I just hear it. It just has that vibe to it. Hopefully, it was played on a lot of radio. And the overall sound definitely reminds me of so many other bands from that decade and from that genre. Yeah, and for me, the vocals in this one, a perfect balance, so I enjoyed those as well. Overall, I'd call this a straightforward pop rock ballad teeming with 90s alt-rock passion. Yeah, and definitely a highlight of the song for me was that ending. I'll call it a crash, slam, and echo guitar ending. So no gripes with this one. I'll give it 5 golden records, an A score for Stand Inside Your Love by the Smashing Pumpkins 2000. And thank you so much for introducing me to more of your catalog today. Billy Corgan, James Iha, Darcy Retsky, Jimmy Chamberlain, and of course, Steve from New Jersey. All right, on to the Cranberries. Great to have them back on my channel. We'll start with I Can't Be With You. Comes from No Need to Argue, their second studio album, which reached number 6 in the US and number 2 in the UK. It's their best-selling album. The song was the 3rd single released, the 4th in North America. It's a poignant and heartfelt song about longing, loss, and the pain of being unable to be with someone you love. Let's check it out. A short one. Knowing the lyrics, I absolutely did not expect an upbeat tempo, so probably the biggest surprise of the song. Really nice, unique bass tone. I don't know if it was guitar, or I think it was, but just sounded different, maybe scratchy. I just felt it was different. I loved when that came in. Then Dolores arrives with her usual brilliance, her super unique, quite emotional vocal delivery, great harmonies as well. I love when she harmonizes with herself. And of course, we get some more of her signature yodel-esque type of vocals here as well. Those are always super unique. Yeah, to me, this song had a running feel to it, especially in those ending guitars, and the drumming that was happening. That really helped to enforce the feeling of urgency in those lyrics, the desperation, so I like that. And of course, I enjoyed all of Dolores's creative vocal ad-libs as well. She knows how to do that right. Great song. I'll give it 4 golden records, an A- for I Can't Be With You by the Cranberries, 1994. All right, another sad one. Everything I Said also comes from No Need to Argue album. The lyrics discuss a fractured relationship filled with loneliness, doubt, yearning, weariness, and sorrow.
When I see you here
Another great ending. The way things dropped out. That super reverb on her final note vocally. One of the best parts of the song, that ending. But I love this one. It was in that deep, sorrowful pocket that perfectly matched the lyrics, of course. Yeah, a very sad tone through and through in this one, as expected. I really enjoyed the thick, warm bass happening here, and that kind of snappy, slamming snare drum. Very standout. Of course, Dolores's voice. Here it was both, super strong, super soft at the same time. Not an easy feat, I'm sure. Such vulnerability in her delivery. There were big moments, there were delicate moments. I love her voice. It's so unique. You know it's her. Like in the chorus, I loved how she switched it up. Her vocal delivery became kind of angry, had some angst in it, again, to match what she was singing about. Such versatility there. I loved hearing the shiny guitar arpeggios kind of in the center left, driving the song. Beautiful. And then to match on the center right, there was this instrument. I was trying to figure it out. It was probably done with the keys. Almost sounded like a wind instrument. I don't know, but it fit the song. It was kind of melancholic, subtle, simple, but beautiful. Simple melodies there as well. Yep, I'm going to connect with a sad song. It also reminded me a bit of a song by The Cure from 1987. Of course, that's most excellent. A most excellent reference. Great song overall. Right up my alley. It's getting the Epic Platinum Record Award, absolutely, for Everything I Said by the Cranberries, 1994. All right, on to another sad one, but with some hope, I believe I read. Shattered comes from Bury the Hatchet, their fourth studio album, which hit number 13 in the US and number 7 in the UK. It explores the emotional turmoil and fears experienced by a mother during pregnancy, reflecting on the fragility of life and the anxieties that accompany bringing a new life into the world. Let's go.
I'm trying to control myself, so please don't stand in my way. I've waited for the longest time. This is what I wanted in my way. Move over, move over. There's a climax coming my way. Move over, move over. There's a climax coming in my way. Yeah. Please don't stand in my way. And all the things that seem once to be so important to me seem so trivial now that I can see. Move over, move over. There's a climax coming my way. Move over. There's a climax coming in my way, yeah.
Yes, acoustic guitar. You beautiful guitar. I'm glad you were the final notes because you were carrying this song. Yes, the strings as well, but the biggest backbone, that guitar. Beautiful, beautiful. Plenty to love in their shorter songs. Again, the nice, warm, introspective acoustic guitar strumming just grabbed hold of me right from the start and held me to the very end. I love the softer processing this time on her voice. Still strong, but it was different. There was almost wispy moments in the vocals. I don't know how they achieved that in the processing or in her actual delivery, but sounded really nice. The strings, beautiful, so poignant up there on the left, always heighten the emotion, especially when they're written, the way they were in a song like this. More great harmonies, another flavor, great echo used on her voice, another great flavor here. Wow. And those beautiful strings once again got me more and more as their frequency increased in the second half of the song. Wow, so beautiful. And the emotion here, many emotions, I felt her fear, her love, her anticipation. It all came through. Beautiful songwriting, beautiful delivery. Yeah, so this one has easily earned the Epic Platinum Record Award, absolutely, for Shattered by the Cranberries, 1999. And thank you so much for this awesome ride today. Dolores O'Riordan, Noel Hogan, Mike Hogan, Fergal Lawler, and of course, Steve from New Jersey. All right, that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment down below. If you wish to chat about these 6 great songs, I would love to know what you think. So you take care, stay safe, stay hydrated, and remember to let peace, calm, and light into your day and night. And I'll see you next time in the past.